Middlekauff!
Hey!
Few people asked for the echo back, John, so we brought the echo back.
Echo, whoa.
My skin is still at an outdoor temperature right now.
Well, you and Kyle have similar pigment going right now. Both of you could use a little sun. You know, Kyle's,
Yeah.
I don't know if either of you guys spent enough time outside lately.
No.
The sun's been out now.
No,
I don't know. Guy, it was 95 degrees when I got out of my car when I got home. It's hot here.
Yeah, it's a little toasty out. It's a little
It's
toasty
hot.
out. It was breezy down in Santa Clara where we just were for Niners OTA. Singular OTA. We were at an organized team activity.
Yeah.
A singular organized team activity.
Missing a lot of Pro Bowlers.
It was an organized ham activity. It turned out some of them were around. They just didn't practice. We thought maybe everyone was just, the south of France, but that wasn't necessarily the case.
We think. I mean, I was going to send Juice a DM. He got, right when I got out of the car, I was going through Instagram. He posted an Instagram picture of him catching a ball. But I was like, I didn't see this guy in practice.
Well, he wasn't there at Family Day today is what Shanahan said, but he might have been there yesterday.
Okay. Smart move. I don't blame him.
Hey, everybody. What's up? I'm Guy. That's John. This is our YouTube channel and our podcast. We're glad you're hanging out with us. If you're watching the podcast, we would hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Check out our podcast down in the description below of the YouTube. If you're listening to this podcast, go check out our YouTube. That link is in the podcast description. And we would love for you to leave us an Apple Podcast review, 5 stars. Ask us a question. That's how you get in the Haberman and Middlekauff mailbag. And tell us your favorite bar as well. Do all that kind of stuff. It's we love a good mailbag.
Do you think we could tell our friend John Lynch where the best bars are and wherever the areas are?
Speaking of, we talked to John Lynch today at practice. We caught him on the sideline. You spotted him. You said, John. And he remembered. For those of you who are new to the show, we've had him on the podcast before a couple of years ago, and it was good to catch up with him. We got some good draft takes from him off the OTR, John, off the record, but
good off the record. Just a couple nuggets. Just friend of the program.
Yeah,
trying to run a team. Anytime he's got a team that's a championship level team, they're trying to get over the hump.
That's right. He told us who he liked. He said Bezos said $75 million. And I said, Jeff, stop. Yeah. I'm not going to. Bezos offered him a flight to Mars. And Lynch said, no, I'd rather be the GM of the 49ers.
Yeah. And then Jed said, check your direct deposit, Johnny. And Kyle's like, I don't want you to go. And then they've all figured it out. And now he's on the field wearing basketball shorts and a pullover, just like all the other coaches.
Bezos said, I'll tell the NFL, we never put you guys on Hard Knocks. If you come, we never put I guess that wouldn't work.
It's funny. I like Jimmy Ward a lot, and he's a really good player, and I give him credit. I don't know if you deserve credit for showing up to practice, but there were a lot of guys on his, probably a little better than him, but just I would say he's on the upper tier of guys. He was there practicing. If you put him, and he's a good starting safety on a really good team, against John Lynch, just body types, I mean, it really is wild anytime you stand by those 80s and 90s safeties.
Yeah, and also not just any 80, but I mean a Hall of Fame level safety. And John Lynch, now, I mean, John's probably, and he's in really good shape, bigger than some NFL linebackers now, right? Physically.
I bet if he was just standing next to Greenlaw and Fred, like, I don't know if you'd see that big of just in terms of widths of shoulders and body type, right? Obviously, he's older. He's probably not as, muscled up right now, but if they were just standing there in clothes, I don't know if you'd see a big thickness difference, would you?
No, I don't think you would.
I don't think you would either.
But I think, we were talking about some of their draft picks, but I think one thing that you always taught me from your NFL scouting days, we'd always talk about big butts, but the lower half, you could explain this better than me. The lower half, and I look at it now all the time, the lower half of a player, because so much of your strength comes from your lower half. And John, you can see, one of the reasons he was probably an incredible hitter was he has a very strong base, as they say. Not to scout the GM, but
you're allowed to scout the GM when the guy's in Canton, because you're allowed to give a scouting report on the John Lynch body type. Another name that's popping up in the chats who has a huge lower base is Kinlaw. Like, he is a guy that just his lower base really stands out.
I think what Kinlaw to me fits we were talking about offensive lineman today, and Kinlaw was out there not in uniform today. He definitely fits the category of sometimes in a uniform, a guy looks less in shape than he actually is. Not that Kinlaw doesn't look in shape in a uniform, but he's a guy that you can see when a guy's in civilian clothes, how athletic and how well put together they are. Sometimes like a really tight uniform and it's not always as flattering as when you see a person and you go, holy smokes, like that guy is an athlete, right? More than anything else, first and foremost.
Do you remember the picture? Might have been his like first press conference here when Trent Williams just did a press conference with like a cutoff, and it was like,
yeah,
I don't think the Niners have anything like this on their team. And then everyone's like, yeah, there's nothing like that in the league.
Right.
He's even Kinlaw is an enormous man. There is nothing quite like Trent Williams, and even Armstead and McGlinchey, I would say, I would imagine they're two of the taller players in the NFL.
God, I mean, you remember we used to go out there when Buckner was out there. McGlinchey is humongous.
McGlinchey's huge. I mean, he's all.
And he was also in civilian clothes today.
And Armstead, maybe we're just kind of numb seeing him a lot. He's a guy. I mean, obviously, we'll talk a lot about the quarterback coming up, but you know what's cool about I would just say pro sports, because it's such young guys that you can get in your mind like, this guy's never going to be that good. This was a bad pick. The things you'd heard at Oregon, kind of soft. What he's kind of just become. And I know he's from the area, so it's not like he'd be living in Vegas in the offseason or Dallas. He's from Sacramento. I would imagine he lives in Sacramento potentially in the offseason. But he's really become kind of a stalwart on a powerhouse team, right? I mean, they've won 4 playoff games in 3 years, and he's a big deal with what they're doing. I think you probably fall under the same category, and a lot of people in the league would have ever saw him become what he became. But now looking back, and this is the argument why you swing for talent, right? Because when it does realize itself, when a guy grows in and matures and a guy just realizes his talent, when you swing for the high upside, I mean, when you get 6'7" big time athletes, like, it's just hard to be bad once you try, and it means a lot to you. You just notice 91's present out there, and I would have bet against that 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, I remember we've talked about it. Full disclosure, draft night, you, me, Ricky Waters at Hooters, and I'd watch Eric Armstead in college. I talked to people about him. I didn't love the pick. I guess in hindsight, I don't know. It's when a guy is 6'7", 290. I don't know if you can call a 17th overall pick a reach. It wasn't that I thought it was a reach. I just didn't think he would develop into the player that he has.
I think Marcus Peters went like the next pick or something, and people thought they should have taken Marcus Peters.
Yeah, that's right. That was a big part of it. And then, but even early in his career, I thought I was right. That it was a mistake of a pick. And I think it's turned out to, I mean, you could debate, well, if they had Marcus Peters, whatever, I don't know. But
he's also been on like 3 teams.
Yeah, this goes back to your point on just the size. I think not only has he turned out, because remember, then he got paid a lot of money. It's not just that now he's panning out as somebody else's first round pick. He got paid a lot of money, and
kind of chose him over the other Oregon guy in a weird way.
Yeah. And I think, maybe leadership quality, some of that stuff is a factor, but you're right. He has become now, as the team has kind of turned over around him. I'm leaving my wristband.
It's like we went
wristbands.
To a club,
we got their fish skeletons.
I took it off.
The secret society.
It's like waking up at late night in Vegas or something.
But yeah, he's I mean, the guy started every game for 4 straight years. Think about that. He started every game for 4 straight years.
What did Herm used to say way back in the day? Best ability is availability.
Best ability is availability. Yeah,
I'd argue the best ability is availability when you're a good player. It's like, yeah, is it great to be available if you're a backup?
Coach, I'm here. You stay over there.
Yeah, like I like having Nick Bosa and Trent Williams and George Kittle available. Some of the other guys. But yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, there is, and it's not. He ain't playing, long snapper. I mean, he's in the trenches of the war as the defensive tackle. Pass rushing. I mean, he honestly does a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so sunny day. Caught John Lynch pre You said what's up to DeMeco because you were like, DeMeco, Philadelphia. I was there. You were there. He's like, John. And
he did a what's your name again?
He did. Well, he asked the follow up, like, I want to remember
Yeah.
Bald Brotherhood. That was your mistake, was having your hat on. But maybe he could tell Brotherhood. Brotherhood could probably see Brotherhood under the hat.
It was one of those, setting up, maybe an email about, hey, could we do a Zoom with DeMeco? Because I know Kyle ain't gonna want to do it, so we'll take the defensive coordinator, which I gladly would. I mean, he's a really impressive guy. I mean, to transition that fast to a coach, right? I mean, to go from a high-level player who made $50-60 million to coaching that quickly. And I mean, by the first year he's the defensive coordinator, he's interviewing for jobs. I mean, it's safe to say the sky's the limit for that guy.
Hey, DeMeco, you played middle linebacker, and I'm John Middlekauff. Amazing.
Yeah, small world.
Small world. Yeah. What else? It was Oh, go ahaid.
Kinlaw beat up Grant.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about that? A lot of people in the chat are asking. So I haven't seen a video. I guess Grant tweeted what Javon Kinlaw said something to him. I don't have the tweet in front of me. But yeah, we walk out because people are asking this in the chat. We walk out, and I saw Kinlaw walking over to Grant Cohn, and I didn't think much of it. I didn't think much of it. I just kind of walked, and then I got the sense that the interaction was not a friendly one, and I kind of turned and looked, and I could tell it wasn't a friendly one. So then I bumped you, and I said, I think Kinlaw, I don't remember exactly what I said to you. Kinlaw's giving Grant shit right now, I think is what I said. And but I was kind of whispering. You didn't quite catch what I said. You kind of looked. I don't know what you saw, if he was still there by then or not.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. But I only heard a couple tones of the words. I didn't really make out what was being said. And I could hear like the response was like, okay. So you could tell something happened. And then I just turned around and I said, did what I think just happened? And they said yes. So I don't know what happened, but
I didn't see any of it. My overall take is this: I like Grant. He entertains me. I love his dad. I love his dad. I do. I enjoy Grant Cohn. I can't have he brings a different pitch than everyone else. I do see things that if I put myself in some of the players' shoes that no one else is really doing, of just all the people I follow all over the sport. And I would just say in sports that cover. And I'll talk some shit too, but it does feel like I would say takes the next step. If I was John Lynch or Kyle, I can't have my D tackle probably doing that. Not a great idea. But I also get where Kinlaw or just any player in that's a younger player. I mean, if Fred Warren, they wouldn't, so it wouldn't matter. Like Armstead gets in with them on Twitter. To me, it's just, I get it. It's just, you're going to say some of these things and not just like, the guy can't hold the double team. Like, it's just, face it. He takes some shots that are just pretty aggressive. I get it. I get it. And here's where I give Grant credit. Look, for the most part, like, I can tweet whatever I want. I don't see anyone in the league. I don't ever go see a coach. I'll never probably meet Brandon Staley in person. Grant does go after these guys and sees them every day.
I remember when the first started the minor league baseball. One thing I learned now, no one was paying attention. There was no one was giving takes on minor league baseball. But one thing I learned in that applied the first year I did the A's pre and post game show. I was around the team every day, and you're given opinions on the radio after the game, and players hop, like people listen, like the manager listens, the players listen, and what I realized pretty early was you just got to show up, and I would go to the clubhouse every day, just in case someone wanted to say something to me. And then I wasn't necessarily looking for anything.
Haberman's here, motherfuckers. Anyone got a problem?
Exactly. But that's a big part of the job. And I think if you do that part of the job, then
yeah,
then I think you're doing your job.
I also like, just in general, and we've been doing this long enough, just other people, like, you're not going to like everybody and they're not going to like you. So there's a balance. I think Slater is a badass at this. I mean, him and Draymond have got into it, and I've heard him talk about it like that's part of my gig. Like I'm not there to not trying to be best friends with everybody. Now, I do think Grant, again, like Grant a lot, don't blame players if they get fucking pissed off. With some of the things that are being said about like dropping a ball or whatever. Jimmy sucks. I mean, we've all tweeted that.
Do you remember the conversation we had yesterday?
On YouTube?
Yeah, we did a YouTube only on Monday. Do you remember what we talked about? It just occurred to me.
No, what?
We talked about how we've been to practice several times, and I just hope nothing weird happens with Kinlaw.
Yeah,
I was not thinking of that.
Again, and I told you I like my D lineman to be a little nuts.
Yeah, well, the number of this idea that like you can the number of defensive linemen or players that have said something to somebody in the media is longer than all of our streams combined. So I don't particularly care. I don't think you're saying you care either, or that it's some signal. But it just occurred to me that we had that conversation yesterday. What we were talking about was, Kinlaw just going through a practice. No, he's not practicing, and McGlinchey's not practicing. So,
because here's where I listen. They have an interaction, and then Grant's publicizing it. I think the old school Big J's, it would kind of end. It's not going to end because he's going to keep kerosene
you think
on the fire.
You think if it was 1995 or 85, that wouldn't be publicized? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a long way to go. Just in the year. I just wonder if you'd ease into it.
Yeah. I mean,
it doesn't bother. I mean, either way, it's kind of entertaining, but yeah, I think Kinlaw's on edge a little bit just in general. Like he was in the practices. One thing I did notice, I didn't know he was walking at him. He was walking with a purpose. I'm like, God, this guy fucking looks kind of edgy. Now, he always kind of has that look. He's just massive. Like Eric Armstead looks very inviting. You're like, all right, go talk to that guy. Right? Even McGlinchey. Kinlaw's got this look like.
We've interviewed McGlinchey. He was cool.
I know. Kinlaw's got this look like don't quite know what's going to happen.
But I think you and I had that conversation after just on the sideline. Just that, like, he is at a point in his career. This is a very important year for Javon Kinlaw.
Big season.
Right?
Yeah. Big season.
And I think he probably feels it. And
well, think about this. His contemporary, like the other pick in that round, was Brandon Aiyuk. And Brandon Aiyuk just feels like, when I was driving down there today, I was thinking, this guy's career is kind of coming into his own, right? He's going to be in his third year. The expectations are going to be even higher. Even as weird as last year started, he went on to have a fantastic season. He obviously got overshadowed by his star running mate. But, I think they got to be pretty feeling good about Brandon Aiyuk as a draft pick, right? Where it's been the first 2 years and his talent.
About it.
And just watching him out there work but think about it. They drafted two guys. This is what shows you, you can draft players in the same draft, like having two kids and be completely different personality. Like Brandon Aiyuk feels like the most low maintenance. He Instagrammed the other day, his fast track. I do the same thing, go in and out of trying not to get clipped, but go into the fast lane, go into the lane where you can pay for it, but get out right before.
But avoid the camera before you
they still nail you. I'm like, that's relatable.
How do they nail you?
I just think it's got like horseshoes and hand grenades. It just kind of gets close. I don't think you have to be just in the lane if they see you kind of getting out. I did that a lot on my way back.
Max says the old school Big J's need to get to the bottom of this and find out whether Grant pooped his pants when Kinlaw confronted him. Moises says, is there video? You know what? Some rookie might post it while they're posted video of their one-on-one drills from today accidentally.
A lot of rookies out there, guy, because not a lot of Pro Bowlers.
What did Grant say? You know what? You'll have to go to Grant's. That's Grant's story to tell. I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened there, but there was a conversation here. One other point on this before we move on to Trey Lance and some other things, because this is, I think, a fair part of this conversation, which was somebody said, too many comments here for me to find back. He's only 22, and then somebody said he's a pro at 22. He needs to act like it. I would agree with both of those things. I think it's hard sometimes to remember. You and I were having this conversation about somebody else the other day, not on the show, but something we saw. And then, if you had photos of stuff that we did at 22 years old, it was not Kinlaw related. At the same time, it's not the way you'd want your player to handle things. Just not necessarily because it's so terrible as much as it is you create a larger situation when you create another interaction.
But I think it's a good example of it's impossible to have just all Fred Warners and DeForest Buckners when they had them. And even, Armstead, you're just going to have a couple loose cannons. And I think it's fair to call Kinlaw, like we saw last year at practice, he's just a little bit of a loose cannon. If I'm going to have a loose cannon, though, guy, I want him to be a defensive lineman. I can live with that. It's certain positions it would be hard. I can live with a defensive lineman
because
they just get him on the field. The nature of that position
need to be that way.
So fucking nuts. I would say one of the great loose cannons in league history is one of the great pass rushers in league history. He goes by Charles Haley, right? Notoriously the craziest guy anyone's ever been around. And
they told me you can't drive up on the green, and I said, "What are you talking about? All this shit is green."
That's one of the great lines of all time. Now, Haley got to the league and dominated. Like part of Kinlaw, I can deal with a little loosey-goosiness. We need you dominating. And the one thing is when you see him, he does look like if this guy could just get on the field and stay, he could be a really good player, right?
Absolutely.
He stands out for NFL players.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's not that when we've watched him, you go, it's just being on the field. If he's being on the field and just doesn't have to be everything that every great interior top 15 pick has ever been, but because of his physical abilities,
I've seen way less, and we'll talk later about McGlinchey and Kinlaw, but if you tell me they're both on the field, I have more faith that Kinlaw will be good, and I don't know about McGlinchey. Might be good, might not be, right? If you just say Kinlaw plays 16 out of 17 games, I'll be like, damn, they probably got a good season out of the guy.
Yeah, if you told me that McGlinchey plays 17 games, I think they probably have a pretty good player too.
Yeah, he started games before. We're just like,
Well, I know, but right now they had 0 locked in starting offensive linemen practicing today.
Yeah, we got one guy in Ireland, might retire. You got another guy, Trent Williams just gets to do his own thing.
Brunskill's out with knee tendonitis, but should be good by camp. Well,
you're not counting Aaron Banks as a starter?
No, that's what I'm saying. They don't, so McGlinchey, to me, it's just, if you tell me Mike McGlinchey starts 17 games, I go, that's great.
I'm not saying it's not a big deal and he's their best right tackle. I'm just saying, I don't know, do they feel great about him being the starter the following year? If Kinlaw starts and plays, I feel like they'll feel good about the spot is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They like that player.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. We made a video earlier on Trey. We just posted the video of, I don't know if people are watching it. Maybe some people are watching it. We posted a video, 4 minutes of mostly Trey Lance with some Nate Sudfeld and Brock Purdy throwing. And you can go watch 4 minutes of those guys throwing at practice if you want. That video's up. But what do we think of Trey Lance? We got to watch it. We got to see him today. What do we think of Trey Lance, the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers?
I would say that my expectations were pretty low, just given that I've seen him, and I expected power for arm throws and dimes out there. But I do think it validated my question mark of, I do think this guy's a major project. And that sounds really bad, but I think they knew what they were getting in bed with when you drafted a guy that had started one season at 1AA. He physically looks the part. He can make throws that Jimmy simply can't, at least with the velocity on it, right? Between defenders. He threw that one seed he threw today to Juwan Jennings over the middle that,
best throw of the day.
Yeah, what would you say in air? Well, I'd say the best throw of the day was that Sudfeld bomb to the random.
Well, the best Trey Lance throw. I think it was probably from the drop back. I'd say it was probably a 27-yard throw.
Yeah, just absolute Brett Favre throws and rope.
You agree with that distance?
Yeah, perfect spiral. No, he can do it. I do think there are some concerns. Again, 22-year-old could still be a fifth year. I'm not trying to crush the guy. I just think he's got area to grow like any young quarterback. On just the basic shit, like a wheel route. Can you just kind of hit the guy in stride where you can get him a move, or does he have to turn around on just a basic in route? One thing Jimmy could do when he was in rhythm is just slant routes. He could throw slants, right? That was his throw. I always felt like kind of a quick. To me, that's an area that Trey, still kind of working through his mechanics that can be just a little hit or miss. When I watch Trey Lance, I go, this guy, if he's going to become a really good player, like ultimately a top 10 quarterback, is going to have to improve his accuracy. I do think he'll be able to explode down the field, make big plays, be hit or miss right now. If they had to play like in 2 weeks, I would not expect the most accurate performance from the guy, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but Josh Allen, a lot of guys were inaccurate. Justin Fields inaccurate. Like it's a natural progression, I would say now, where it was always looked upon. Bill Parcells was always big on you had to be accurate coming out because you could never improve. And historically, there was one guy, Warren Moon, that improved. I think that's been proven. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, guys have dramatically improved. It's probably because of the way the game is officiated. That, to me, is the area that's more likely. Like, I think his release is always going to be a little just iffy. Like, I don't think there are muscle memory parts about your release that don't change that much. But can he become an accurate passer like Josh Allen has become in 3 or 4 years?
And that's not something we were going to find out today. I think one thing that stands out, 7-on-7, not a lot of guys, no one's running wide open in those types of drills, right? It's a lot of contested throws. Maybe on some of the outs, in the shallow throws, guys are a little more open. But Trey Lance did not, unless I'm missing a throw the ball down the field really at all today.
Doesn't feel like they were running too many like bombs for him, right?
No, Sudfeld hit one down the field, but no, you're right. No one was really. It's not what they were running. But Kyle Shanahan was asked afterwards by Matt Mayoko if Trey's throwing motion looks any different, and Kyle said no, and Matt said, well, sometimes it looked like it was coming out a little lower, and Kyle said, well, sometimes there's different arm angles you throw from. I thought Trey's motion looked a little tighter sometimes. When I say tighter, I'm not a quarterback analyst, so I shouldn't say tighter. I thought sometimes last year when we saw the ball come low in a bigger loop, I thought sometimes that was gone, but sometimes it was there. So Kyle said it's about the same. I don't think.
Did you mention that when we were watching in practice? Or was that Biederman that thought it was coming out? Someone said like they kind of thought it was coming out slightly.
Yes.
Again, I'm closer to Kyle. It didn't stand out to me, but I'm with you on the release. It was a sometimes thing, which to me is an improvement, right? You don't change. Tiger didn't change his golf swing one range session. You don't change your release in 3 months of an off season when probably more than likely they played till the end of January. You probably take 3 or 4 weeks off, right? Of just like truly throwing. How long has he really been grinding with Quincy Avery or whatever? 2 months? Like it is understandable that it's a work in progress.
Adam Dado.
You could argue that's a positive, right? That they're trying to slow it down. Because I heard some people say, you don't even mess with it. You just try to work with what you have to ever screw up the mechanics because it could go the other way. But I like that we're seeing he's cognitively attempting to.
That's what we think. Kyle said it's not any different, but
yeah, I mean, I think Kyle's just trying to quell a lot of stuff around him.
Look, obviously, like we already, I think, have established, the arm strength is significantly stronger.
It's never going to look like Jimmy, right?
It's no. I mean, there will be some wobblers. Doesn't mean the ball is not being thrown hard, but not everything's a perfect spiral. But not everything. There are plenty of quarterbacks who have not thrown 100% spirals. Sometimes
I think Peyton said on the Manning cast, I made the Hall of Fame throwing an accurate duck.
A tight wobble.
Tight wobble. That's what it was.
A tight wobble. So I thought he looked fine. I mean, he's the starting quarterback. He's going to be their starting quarterback. And there wasn't a lot of, there was no 2-minute drill. There wasn't any red zone type stuff today, which you kind of like, because then you get some really tight throws. I think he's going to throw a hard ball to intercept. To me, when he misses high, which he didn't do a lot of today, to my memory, like one particular throw missed high. But other than that, I think it's going to be a tough ball to grab because he throws it hard. And, you and I are having a conversation about his completion percentage. It's going to be tough. One question is, are they going to throw the ball down the field more? And then, I think some of it's going to be him off script, him out of the pocket, and then where Kyle scripts things open, but there's no Kittle, no use check. no Deebo Samuel in terms
Deebo?
of guys to throw it to. I don't think Elijah Mitchell. I saw a lot of Sermon and Hasty. I mean, Mitchell was out there, but
I saw he walked by us. He had the swag of like, I'm the starting
Elijah
back for the Niners, baby.
About to take these reps off. You guys go ahead and take them.
He had pants on, the sweatshirt with the jersey. He looked sweet just walking by. He looked like running back's my favorite position. I liked his vibe. I like the Niners running backs vibes. Like so does Kyle. He's going to try to run it 45 times a game.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anything else on that first conversation about Trey? I mean, there are a couple other things.
I think it's fair to say like Trey's comp, and it's going to sound, but I think what he needs to undertake is a Josh Allen type thing, right? He's just going to be a work in progress, ton of physical attributes. I would say Josh has more physical elite traits. I mean, Josh got a chance to go down as like one of the great quarterbacks in NFL history, right? So, but I'm just saying like that to me is the mold of Trey. Because I do think like part of the reason people loved him was like Dak is a good example, high character guy, teammates, like all that stuff. But Dak's physical attributes, like if he was out there, you wouldn't be blown away. Like to me, Trey that's why you draft him, right? He's in a different category of arm power
and athleticism.
Like, I'd say, yeah, but remember young Dak could kind of run around. But it's hard to. What I also like today is we didn't see him run around. Just fucking throw the ball. I would throw the ball every single rep. None of that. Now, part of it is right. Like he's a starting quarterback now. I wonder last year if they were just giving him zone reads because that was like the only thing that it was just way to ease him in. Like now it's like, why would he just run the plays? Right.
Yeah.
It just felt like they were just running normal plays with Trey Lance today. I didn't notice any zone read or anything.
Well, no, I didn't. There was none of that.
Felt like he was just if you just close your eyes and like went to a practice 2 years ago with just Jimmy Garoppolo, it was the exact same today of just drop backs, footwork, 4 or 5 wide. Just we're doing passing drills. They're just treating him like a normal quarterback, trying to improve him.
HR says, has Trey thrown a spiral yet? Yes, many spirals, many spirals.
What would you say? 85% of them are spirals.
Again, like, are we counting the like drill, dump down to Brian Greasy?
I'm talking like reps with wide receivers.
Yeah.
75?
75 no lower than that. But I mean, would Brady be 100%?
He'd be high. He'd be a bad example. Him and Rodgers, I'd say.
I'm starting high, and then we'll work down. But the other thing.
But like the tight wobble comment, if you're in the vicinity of the wide receiver, does it really matter that much if it's a perfect spiral or a tight wobble? Because he's not throwing ducks. I would just say sometimes it's not. Sudfeld out there throws a fucking gorgeous football. It is if you're a lover of a tight spiral
here, and it's just whoosh.
He throws I understand why Doug Peterson's, the Kyle Shanahans, they might just love watching him throw the football. Now he can't probably play in a game.
Oh my God. The way he throws the ball, it's all because he's so tall, it's all coming down, right? And it looks like he just the guy in well, never mind. That's a bad analogy, but it just looks like he's just guiding the ball, back of the ball, index finger.
And we're not hyping up like this guy's a good player.
No,
it'd be like watching a guy who can just dominate on the driving range, and him on the driving range is a sight to see. Just throwing those balls because it is perfect.
Yeah.
Like not even if a perfect spiral's 100%. He is 100 out of 100 on the perfect spiral. Like no air in between. There's not even a hint of a wobble.
No. I think one thing this will be maybe for another time, but in the Josh Allen, Trey Lance ran part of the attraction of Trey Lance and the connection with the Niners was that he ran, what they ran, right? Josh Allen was a 56% passer, just trying to get through every day at Wyoming, just trying to will them.
So my point is on the project, he had farther to go, I would imagine, than Trey his rookie year, right? Just like the raw product that showed.
Why doesn't Brian Daboll get any credit for that?
We became the head coach of the New York Giants.
Right, but we don't talk about Daboll the way we talk about the Gruden. And Daboll produced a better quarterback than Gruden ever did.
And his coach was a defensive guy, so Sean McDermott wasn't doing it.
But we just give all the credit to Josh Allen, which maybe he deserved it. I don't know.
I do feel Daboll probably didn't get the hype of like a Gruden, but it felt like he gained a lot of steam the last 2 years. I mean, he's the head coach of the New York Giants now.
Yeah,
I would say largely.
And
you're
that's
right. Probably still underrated on the hype that he should receive.
That's better than getting credit on Twitter, becoming the head coach of the Giants.
I feel like Daboll got a lot of credit on Twitter the last couple of years. But you're right. Josh Allen gets more than it feels like in some instances coaches get.
Just like Josh Allen became Josh Allen, like he was supposed to be,
But
which maybe it was.
Like, does Andy get an unlimited credit for Mahomes? It feels like once you become so famous and good, you just talk about the player a lot.
Yeah, Andy does get a lot of credit. But part of it is to me, it's like multiple. Like part of it, he made Alex, like the Alex Smith year, almost does more for Andy in a weird way than Mahomes.
And the other thing with Josh is the difference. Like people thought Trey Lance, like good prospect. People thought Josh Allen sucked, right? I would say pretty universally, like you cannot draft this guy.
Yeah, and then he went 7th,
and now 5 years later, I mean, if you told me like list 5 teams if they were on TV right now, you would 100% run to the TV and watch. The Bills would be up there.
Yeah,
he's a can't miss superstar.
Even 6 a.m. from London.
You see the picture I posted on my Instagram of Dalvin Cook's brother who got drafted by the Bills. Picture when he's with his family drafted, down face. When he hugs the commissioner, not looking happy. When he's signing his contract, not looking happy. And the meme is basically, does whatever Cook, I don't know his first name, know that the Bills are good now? Like, they're not shitty. Like, their team is good.
No, I got to see that. Is that in your Instagram story?
Yeah, I think it was like NFL memes. Tweeted it out.
All right, I'll go to that.
Good one.
Does Anthony Lynn get any credit for Herbert? And you mean Niners run game coordinator Anthony Lynn?
Did you see him out there today? I don't think I did. I wasn't really looking.
Yeah. You missed my super chat comment. Well, if it was non-topic on that particular topic, we'll get back to your. We will. Yes, we see. I've got it saved here. And if you guys hit us with a super chat while we're in the middle of a different discussion, then we save it and we will come back to it. So thank you for that. We will circle back on that. Although now we can get to it because we're in the middle. JK needs to stop the wannabe Warren Sapp act, being touchy about being labeled injury prone. Oh, Kinlaw. This is back to Kinlaw. Being touchy about being labeled injury prone. Was that a Warren Sapp thing? Is that what Warren Sapp got angry about?
I just think Warren Sapp used to attack reporters a lot.
Wasn't there a famous Warren Sapp clip? Is there one in particular? I feel like I can picture it, but
when he took out Chad Clifton on Monday Night Football, remember a crackback block killed him? Like we were like in junior high. Fucking
Chad Clifton got Warren Sapp?
No,
Warren Sapp on like an interception.
I think like John Lynch or Barber picked off the Brett Favre, and Warren Sapp absolutely I might have killed him. I'm pretty sure it was Chad Clifton. It was one of their offensive linemen, and it was.
Is that what they changed the rule because of that? Man.
But I think it took a little while. But that was an all-timer.
Here we go. Oh,
yeah, you got him. Pretty good.
Oh, Clifton gets like a foot and a half off the air, off the ground.
Him. Absolutely. I think Warren was just nuts, but no one cares. He's a Hall of Fame pass rushing defensive tackle. Like that's all the Kinlaw needs to be. Right? Immature, yeah. D linemen are immature.
I mean, every time John Lynch gets to talk about building a team, he talks about Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks. And this is why Kyle and I build the team the way we both agree. Defensive line through the middle, right? Dislocated his pelvis, says John on the stream.
Jesus.
Damn. All right. I think one other thing on Trey Lance. I think Kyle Shanahan has seen what he needs to see from Trey Lance. It's not to say he doesn't want to see improvement or that Trey Lance he's not on scholarship, to use the John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh phrase. But I get the sense when he talks about him and just watching him.
No sacred cows, bro.
No sacred cows. I don't get the impression that Kyle Shanahan is waking up every day wondering, what do I have? I think he has a really good idea right now what their offense is going to look like this year and what it's going to take to win. And I don't think he wakes up every day or in the middle of the night wondering, big picture, I think he wonders. But I think I think he's got a pretty good idea of right now what he's got and what he's going to have to do around Trey Lance to win. I think you heard it the other day when Kittle was talking to McAfee, and I don't remember exactly the word he used. You might remember, but he basically said, if there are some growing pains, fine. Like, we got a good team around him. I think Kyle's pretty at ease. Kyle said today, I expect Jimmy to be traded. And it wasn't like some grand statement. He was just like, yeah, I expect Jimmy to be traded. If it's not, well, we got to figure it out. But I think he in his mind,
USFL or
I think he in his mind, when he sits down to think about the season, I think he sees what the offense is going to look like already. I don't think he's holding his breath.
Well, I do not think it's random that they took a running back really high. And when they already have a guy they drafted last year that looks like a stud in Elijah Mitchell. And another guy, which I'm not going to totally write off just because he had a rough rookie season, in Trey Sermon, who was a higher draft pick than Elijah Mitchell. And, just talking with John Lynch at the practice, they clearly, like a lot of people in the NFL, really like this guy from LSU. They're going to try to shove it down people's throats because the easiest way to overcome a rookie quarterback, and when I say overcome, and I know he's not technically a rookie, but you know what I mean, is to make it easy on him. Right? When you watch the Patriots last year, like, how did they win 11 games? They ran the shit out of the football and they played defense. Like, ultimately, that's what Kyle dreams about doing anyway. I actually don't even think it's like you could give him Lamar Jackson or Mahomes. I still think his mindset, his fundamental philosophy on football, I would imagine hasn't changed in like a decade. Do you? Like, I mean, what they really want to do, like what he lives to do, shove the ball down your throat. And the pass game, honestly, easy passes. Like he likes some plays that like Lincoln Riley types, like the quick screens. He just likes high percentage stuff that when he knows, and the guys, like, listen to him talk about football when you're just in there and he doesn't even realize, like, the guy's a fucking genius. Like and part of it is he's obsessed, like he's addicted to the sport of football. And he's been taught by his dad, like the way he looks at it. And someone asked him today, how do you draw a play? And what did he first say? I look at the defense. And that's how his whole, now, maybe a lot of coaches would say that, but I think I never think about it like that. It's pretty simple. I base what I'm going to do based on what you're doing. And once I scheme against you all week long, I have a pretty good idea what you're going to do. And when I know what you're going to do, I'm going to draw up the easiest possible plays. I'm not looking to ultimately, like, love Coach Reed likes to get a little out there, And it's not because he's trying to prove how smart he is. He grew up with fucking in the early 80s in BYU. They were bombs away. Like, that's just kind of his football philosophy. Kyle's philosophy is like, when you give me a number game, I'm going to slam it, whether I got Matt Ryan or whether I got Trey Lance. And ultimately, and this is where I give him credit, they really value defense. Like, he drafts a lot of defensive guys. They've invested a lot in defense. They obviously have really good defensive players. So if you tell me, like, remember a couple years ago, it might have been Lamar's the year he won the MVP. Maybe it was his rookie year. Well, I guess it would have been his second year. They like led the league in rushing. And I think they basically equivalent did for like a couple years. The Eagles did last year. Like, I think that's kind of how they want to play, with a little bit more of an explosive passing game. But if you tell me they want the Niner version of what the Eagles were, dominating the line of scrimmage, run the ball down your throat, and be physical. Now, the Eagles benefited from an easier schedule, but when you really look, like, they kind of built it around Jalen Hurts. Now, hopefully, obviously, Trey's better than that, but I think that's kind of their philosophical. We know what Kyle's philosophical belief is, but I'm saying really stick to it and not make Trey, like, under no circumstances do they want Trey, to me, throwing over 35 times a game.
That would be very high.
Extremely high. But even once he becomes a really good player, I think his philosophically, it's not really how he wants to play. Might get running backs killed.
Yeah, I mean, I think one day what happens in the ideal world for Kyle Shanahan is his quarterback can make plays outside of what Kyle schemes. But if they can run the ball, then I think he's really confident. And I think there's I think there's reason to be confident based on his history that he can find open throws. And that's where Trey Lance's accuracy comes into play.
Yeah.
There are going to be plays, and if you've watched Kyle Shanahan, you know it's a fact. There's going to be a couple plays a game that he is going to get you a guy wide open. Now, maybe it's not always, a touchdown level play, but there are multiple plays a game where he's going to get somebody wide open. And the quarterback just has to lay it up, right? It's going to happen. It's a guarantee. We see it all the time.
It's happened his whole career since he's been here.
And part of the reason it happens is what? Like, this is all a circle. It's because they can run the ball, right? The double pass touchdown to Juwan Jennings against the Rams.
Great play.
You were there. Was so open. He almost was the result of all the other stuff they were doing working constantly.
Would Darren Ruff have caught that? Probably not.
Would it overrun? It's a baseball reference, kids. But that is a play that some offensive genius guys will have in, and we just got to get it in. We got to get it in. We got to get it in. When they run it, it's so stunning because it's so out of the normal what they do. And I think that's what makes Kyle Shanahan a fun play caller to watch, is that he is somehow, creative, and he does take risks, but his bread and butter is still, like you would say, Jim Harbaugh was more just the bread and butter without probably the chess playing creative play calls.
Well, because Jim was very dependent on his coordinator, and as Kyle mentioned today, like without saying it, he kind of said, like, I already miss Mike McDaniel because now I'm doing this shit, right? I mean, he's
very practical outlook. Like, I miss him because I have to do things I haven't had to do before.
Yeah,
in a long time.
Because ultimately, I am the play caller and designer, so I need the help around me. And do you think that when he mentioned that with McDaniel gone, why he said, I mean, obviously every year you go over scheme, but I bet they've dedicated a lot of time over the last month of coaching the coaches, like as he kept saying, of like this. And I think he's talking specifically to Greasy, Kubiak's kid. Like, this is what I need. Like, you have to be able to. So this is what I need to focus on. This is where I need you to excel.
Yes, the most efficient way to help me.
Yeah.
I think it's like one thing I didn't realize until I got older was that being aware of how you learn or how you do anything is really valuable. And it never occurred to me that I could be more efficient at whatever I'm doing if I figured out how my brain retains information. Like, what are the ways that I work and learn? It never occurred. You just try to, like, I don't know. They said read the book, so I guess they said take notes. I don't know how to do that. I guess
academia let us down, guy.
But and I get it. Like, it's hard to figure out how everyone and then tailor something to that person. But I remember when it occurred to me that, like, oh, if I figure out how I learn, then I can learn better. And I think what Kyle's saying is, for several years, because he's had the same assistants, it's everyone's known what he needs. He knows where his weaknesses are. His assistants know how to fill in those gaps for him.
His life, not that his life's been easy, but he even mentioned, like, what we did 12 years ago.
Yeah. He's like, oh, no, I have to tell people the reason that we don't do that is because 7 years ago we tried it and it failed. But for me, I remember when I was doing, do I still have this here? No. But like when I was doing calling games on TV, and I would make a big version of like a board, I would make the board. Okay. You've seen what my board looks like. I'd make the board, and then I would be like, cool, I'm done. I'll just go do the game. But it didn't work. Like, in my mind, I thought I made the notes. They must be sticking in my brain. But then the game would start and I wouldn't know where to find anything. Like, I'd put it on the board. I'd done all the work. Then the game would start. The real bullets would start flying. I had 8 milliseconds to find one piece of information that if I didn't use it, then it was gone. It was going to be useless. And I couldn't find it. And then it occurred to me, oh, wait, after I do the board, I should probably, I don't know, like familiarize myself with it, and some people don't have to do that. Some people write it once, they got it.
Yeah.
Me, nah, I got to look at it again. And
we're dumber.
I definitely am. Like Ted Robinson, I've always he doesn't put anything on his board. He just remembers it. He just does it. But I'm not like that.
Well, he's a Notre Dame intellect.
He's a smarter person than me. That's
some people legitimately have, it's not when they talk about luck, the photographic memory, like that's real.
Andrew Luck.
Who did I say?
No, you said Luck.
Yeah, Andrew Luck. You remember photographic memory? Like he could see things. And obviously smart people, when they have that's a pretty big advantage. You know why? They don't have to study. And when I say they don't have to study, like they just read it once. If I had a test, I'd have to read, again, if I cared about my grade, I'd have to read it many times. Some people just, whether they even care about it or not, and that's the thing with Kyle, his knowledge of football and understanding is pretty incredible. Like the Niners are pretty lucky to have him. That's one takeaway I had. Like this, in a sport that's so hard to find a good coach, I mean, they just have one of the brighter guys going. Now, they've done a good job. You need good players to be a good coach, and obviously now the quarterback. But I mean, we've been watching him now up close and personal for 5 years, and just his teams now in big games. We've seen it all, right? The scheme stuff, the preparedness stuff, how much he values toughness. He brings a lot to the table. Now, this year's going to be a challenge because as he mentioned, like he's losing those guys. It's going to be a little bit work in progress. Maybe that first month game planning, like Brian, like I need you to do this. That's where one thing that hit me when I was driving home, I wouldn't say lucky, but I think it worked out pretty well that they didn't start like, Tampa Bay and the Rams first 2 games or something. You just get the Bears and the Panthers. Is that the Panthers' second game?
It's that road trip, isn't it?
Panthers and yeah.
Hold on. Let me check the board. You got Bears, John, Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah. At Denver, Rams, then at Carolina and Atlanta week 5.
Okay, that's, imagine they would not, if you said, like, would you rather go Denver, Rams instead of Bears, Seattle? Like, I think you want a nice ease in with this new coaching staff on top of the new quarterback. There's a lot of moving parts besides just Trey. I mean, Brian Griese's never coached at this level. Maybe he's coached like high school football or whatever on the side.
Well, Joe asked, anything stand out with the new coaches? I watched Griese just because I was watching the quarterbacks. It's hard to know in those moments. It's hard to take anything. The one thing that did occur to me as I was watching, Griese never hesitated when they were going from drill to drill. Like he knew exactly he had planned the drill. He knew what they were doing next. He'd run through them a million times as a quarterback. But he didn't look uncomfortable doing any of that stuff. He was doing the stuff that quarterback coaches do. Like he was working at ESPN doing ABC football. Like they were bringing him waters when he wanted them. It's a different lifestyle now.
Well, I would say though, it is. I would imagine he played quarterback since the time he was like 5. Played probably until he was 35. That's 30 years. Last I checked, his dad, a pretty famous quarterback. It's kind of like the family business.
Well, I know. I'm just saying he hasn't been the guy dragging the sled around before.
For sure. But he's seen it forever.
He's seen it. But this is to your point. When we walked up, you said, give Brian Griese a lot of credit. He's out here instead of doing whatever he could have been doing in May. I mean, it's golfing or poolsiding or whatever.
I would say part of it with him, not that it's not like he's coaching Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers or, Manning, but you still, as a human, as a coach, you do need to earn the respect of your guys. So I give him. Some guys might have had like a equipment guy moving that shit.
Yeah,
I might have.
Yeah, would have had,
Billy, get it.
So that was, you asked what things do we notice from coaches? I'd say that'd be.
I mean, you even get remotely close to the D-line coach. He is on fire.
Kasaric.
Imagine Drake Jackson the first week. He's like, Jesus Louises.
Yeah.
This ain't USC Arizona this week, buddy.
They got offense in particular, right? Griese's new, Lynn's new, Leonard Hankerson is the new receivers coach. So
I remember Hankerson when he played for Washington when I was with the Eagles.
Wasn't he on the Eagles too?
Maybe after. I think that's a different.
Is that a different Hankerson?
No, remember what's the guy's last name when I was there?
Hank Basket?
Married to the Playboy mate. Yeah, Hank Basket.
Oh, yeah. Did not play Washington and then Atlanta, Buffalo, New England.
Hank Basket was like a poor man's Juwan Jennings.
Leonard Hankerson, St. Thomas Aquinas to Miami. Pretty good football life. Good third round.
What third round?
Yeah.
How many years in the old league?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the old league.
Again, this gets back to if you were a player and you were a part of like that Washington Redskins operation for those 3 or 4 years and you had coaching aspirations, you now know half the league. Think about if you were an offensive player on the 2012 Washington Commanders Redskins football team.
You had Chris Forrester, Matt LaFleur, Mike McDaniel, Sean McVay, Raheem Morris, Bob Slowick, which is Bobby Slowick's dad. The DC was Jim Haslett, and the OC was Kyle Shanahan. And Mike was the head coach.
Met some people.
Yeah.
Imagine the one guy was like, God, I was such a dick to McVay. What an idiot. Probably hard to be guy to be a dick to.
You just kind of, maybe just treat him like he's the young assistant.
I could see some people regretting the way they treated Kyle.
Wes Phillips in 2013. Oh, that was a Jay Gruden team, but he's the OC now for the Vikings.
Is that Phillips' son, you think?
It's Wade's kid, yeah.
How old's that guy?
43.
I guess Wade's older than you think, huh? I was like, is he 30? Oh, no, Wade's got to be like 78.
74.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. You want to rapid fire some of the things we saw or didn't see today from Niners OTAs? Here we go. Rapid fire things we didn't see. Deebo Samuel not there, but Kyle Shanahan volunteered during the post-practice press conference. I expect Deebo to be here. He was asked, have you talked to him? And he said, I've learned not to tell anybody when I've talked to anybody. So I'm not going to say, but continues to give a positive energy off about the Deebo situation.
Gave very positive energy. We didn't go into details about Deebo's Instagramming pictures of workout places, but not him actually working out, just a picture of the post-workout. Pretty genius move on his part. Lets everyone know, hey, guys, I'm not mailing it in, but I don't actually see him working out, but smart. Kyle does not seem stressed about it at all.
No. Alex Mack, not there. Kyle Shanahan asked about it, said, I've got a pretty good idea what he's doing. And then he added, and I think you guys do too, which I don't know what that means. I know what I think. I don't think he's coming back. But
I think he's going to come back.
You think he's coming back?
Training camp only. Remember Michael Strahan would just have to show up like the last year? Like, what does Alex Mack have to prove to Kyle? And who's the other thing is, guys, they don't really, they're working through all these random guys. Like, I think Kyle wants them back. They
definitely want him back. But he's on his second vacation right now.
But like, who cares? He's 37 years old.
Yeah, I don't. You're right. I mean, the fact that he hasn't retired.
My gut is he comes back.
I think it's weird.
Because I think he just would have retired. Like now it's like the draft ended.
Yeah.
What are we waiting for?
But then why hasn't he said he's coming back? Because they wouldn't care if he was just waiting. I think it's weird.
It's a little weird, but if the teammates know, who cares?
But if they know he's coming back, what are we waiting?
Why can't they just say it? Maybe he wants to announce it. I don't know. Maybe
who announces they're coming back? This isn't college basketball.
Gender reveal. I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, it's college basketball.
I'm not disputing that it's a little like, what's the point of all this if he does come back? But why wouldn't they just announce he's retired? Like, does he want to sit down and retire? He's not going to retire as a Niner, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just think I think it's weird, and I definitely don't assume he's coming back. And my lean is that he's not.
I don't assume he's coming back either. I just, the way Kyle said it, for whatever reason, in my gut, I was like, yeah, I bet they let him come back like August 15th.
McGlinchey and Kinlaw, we saw both of them. You asked Kyle Shanahan. John put the J in journalism. But
I do think, those are two starting players. Like he claims now, I would imagine if we watched coaching press conferences all around the league, like when so-and-so starter on every team, you expect him, they'd all say camp. We feel good about him coming to training camp. And half those players that will be listed this week when head coaches talk will go on that three-letter word called pup, right? Now, you would say just watching those two guys move around, they didn't look like one guy had a torn quad and the other guy had microfracture ACL. You notice neither of them walking weird, which I'd say is a positive. And that is May 24th, June 24th. Both guys have 2+ months before.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, really 2.5 months probably.
It's true. None of them were walking weird. Do
you think it'd be weird if either one went on PUP?
I
mean, Kinlaw got his surgery in fucking like October, so.
Do I think it'd be weird?
Weird would be strong. I mean, I do think he was telling the truth. Like they expect him. They feel good about those two guys.
Yeah, I think you'd be a little alarmed just given that you need them. Like it's a big year for. First of all, they really need McGlinchey. Like if somehow McGlinchey's not available, right? And then let's say Alex Mack isn't back.
Yeah, then you got
they got problems.
Yeah, can Trent Williams play multiple positions at one time? Probably could block multiple people at one time if you really
move him to center. You think?
But he just has steps both ways.
How about you just move him to left and he follows the best pass rusher on the other team?
When like Khalil Mack goes the other side, he gets up and falls.
Yeah. You just shift.
What do you do against the Chargers?
You put him against Joey,
and then have your other guy with Kittle.
Use check.
Just triple team Khalil with Kittle and use check.
Well, you're not gonna. You agree? Joey is your priority.
Yeah. I mean, if Khalil's healthy, they'd be tough. Cleveland Ferrell.
That game is week 10, so hopefully McGlinchey will be back by then. Brandon Aiyuk, we mentioned him earlier, but I mean, especially without Debo there, I'd say looks like the 1A guy. I think one of the reasons the stuff with him last year was a little interesting was because I remember thinking last year in OTAs, Brandon Aiyuk has a very professional air about him when it comes to practice. I think he's a very, maybe that comes from her. Maybe that's just him, who he is. I think he's a pretty professional practicer. So that's not new today, but that's how I would describe Aiyuk.
I would say the two receivers. I mean, I think, and it might just be his emergence last year. Like Javon Jennings looks like an NFL player, right? I mean, before it's like, what's up with this guy? Is he going to make the team? Is he going to be fighting for playing time? Like when I see Javon Jennings now, I go, that's a starter. Now it's the Niners, because they run the ball so much, have a lot of 2 wide receiver sets. They're not exactly spread it out. But when they go 3 wide receivers, like he's a starter on a playoff team. And I feel good about that player.
I mean, think about a third down. Like they're going to be in some 3rd and 4s, some 3rd and 6s, some,
It feels like he'll be a guy Trey Lance should throw it to. He's got a big target.
Yeah, that's a good call. Mr. Corey on the stream says, they really need McGlinchey. Laughy emoji, laughy emoji, laughy emoji, laughy emoji, face palm emoji. Brunskill was better than him at right tackle in 2019. Well, again, Brunskill is out right now with knee tendonitis. So they have no starting offensive lineman at OTAs active. No returning starters.
If I remember correctly, McGlinchey, remember Staley broke his leg in the middle of the season, and McGlinchey, I think, tore his MCL. So he did like miss games in the season with an injury and then came back. I'm not defending. It's not like I think he's some star player, but like I'm going to have just a blank slate and judge him based on if he's fully healthy this season. Is the guy good enough to be a starting right tackle for the next 5 years?
Yeah, because it's contract time.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry. You were talking about.
I was talking about McGlinchey.
Yeah. Okay. Eric Branch, the San Francisco Chronicle, asked Kyle Shanahan, well, Fred Warner, George Kittle just checking. Are they hurt? And Kyle said, they're just both dealing with a minor thing. It's not even a big enough deal for me to really look into it. Lower body. So because we're watching practice going, well, I guess Fred Warner didn't show. I guess Kittle's not around. And then somebody said, no, Kittle's here. He's around here somewhere. He's going to talk. But maybe by the time this is out, he did talk and told people whatever, ingrown toenail or something.
Because I do think when I went to practice today, I didn't expect to see Debo, of course. We knew, I mean, they already had kind of talked about how Trent gets to do his own thing, and Bosa trains, and they feel good about it with his, I guess his brothers in San Diego or LA, but trains there. Okay. I expected to see Kittle and 54. So to me, it makes more sense. Like when I think George Kittle, I think a guy that likes practicing, like Jimmy Ward. Like Jimmy Ward, you can tell looks forward to this. To me, George Kittle looks forward to this. And mid-practice, I thought, this is kind of weird. There's a lot of guys kind of tapping out. Even you said, listen, it's OTAs, it's going the other way just in the league. But I thought Fred and that they're inside and Juszczyk, same type deal. Juszczyk at the family thing was there yesterday. Like when I think those guys, I think even them, they kind of eat it for the team. And I made more sense when Kyle said that, right?
Yeah. Made a lot more sense.
Like to me, George Kittle ain't like, if they're practicing, he's going to be on the practice field. Like they're like legitimately playing football.
Right.
Because I would say he's been their best practice player. Best would be strong. I mean, I would imagine they have a lot of good practice, but just because of his position, how fast he is, he just really, you've been going to practice for years. 85 really stands out when you go to 49er practice. You go, that's one of their better players.
And it was that way even going back to his rookie year, I think, right?
I think when you can run that fast and catch the fucking ball.
Garoppolo, I mentioned that earlier in the stream, in the podcast. Kyle just said, I expect him to be traded, but also said there's no guarantee. So blah, blah. But to me, when you're talking about a guy on your team, I expect him to be traded. Even if you say, I don't know what's going to happen. When you start talking about a player like that, I think it's hard to also think of that player as potentially your starting quarterback. So,
yeah,
I think it's clear where this is going. Brock Purdy. People wanted us to watch Brock Purdy. We talked about him the other day. We watched him a little bit today. In some drills. I would say looks like some of the other guys that they've had before. I mean, one thing is clear with him. His kind of savvy and understanding of what's happening in front of him is what carries him.
He was a little shorter than even the previous couple guys, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's wearing 14, so he kind of looks like McGloin. He's standing next to Sudfeld and Trey Lance also, which, what is he listed at? My guess is he's 6'1".
I'd bet he's in the 600 something under
600.
the one.
Yeah, he's listed at 6'1", so he may be the 600.
And Sudfeld, I think, is legit like 6'5", 6'6". Like he's one of the taller guys. So you're right.
But
he's to me, he's smaller than Mullins and CJ.
Well, I would say definitely CJ.
It feels like in college.
I don't know if he's smaller than Nick.
Yeah, you're right. Nick was pretty small. I didn't watch Nick in college. Watched, just Iowa football. It feels like Brock Purdy was a better player in college. Maybe not a better prospect because CJ was bigger than CJ Beathard was in college. Now, maybe Kyle would disagree.
I don't think there's any question about that, at least from a productivity standpoint.
Just from if you need a guy to play on
different
your college team.
Different offenses, in fairness.
True, but I think if you just ask the average coach in college or even in the Big Ten, right? I guess the Iowa State's in the Big 12. But it feels like Brock Purdy's a better college player. Now, that doesn't just because you're a better college player doesn't mean you're a better NFL player. But I think we saw pretty quickly, should CJ Beathard have been drafted in the 3rd round under no circumstances, right? CJ Beathard probably is a 7th round pick.
Yep.
So is Nick Mullins, and so is it. Just shows you you just get in the mix, which he's got drafted. It would not shock me if he's able to win. Sudfeld's got a big arm, but he can't move. Brock's. I'm not going to be shocked if Kyle really likes the guy.
I think the question is where is Brock? Brock's going to have to prove it in a game, right? The things that are going to separate him are going to have to happen in a game. Whereas Sudfeld walks out and it's just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. So
Purdy's going to get a lot of preseason action, I bet.
Yeah, so that's what I'm getting at. So Trey Lance, how much is he going to play in the preseason? I would imagine he'll get treated like a starting quarterback gets treated, right? Which is a couple series, which is actually where last year's experience becomes really valuable. Because if he hadn't had any experience last year, we'd start talking about, does he need game speed, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I think the preseason, the games are going to be where Brock Purdy really can make an impression on Shanahan.
One big picture thing, though, about Trey being our starting quarterback, and this is part of it, last year Trey was a backup, which how many teams in the league would have taken Trey Lance their backup? They are going to go into a season with Sudfeld as their backup and Brock Purdy on the practice squad. That's you're a sprained ankle away from missing a month to holy shit, hold on for your ass, right?
Would have loved to have Tyrod Taylor,
or Foles type.
Or Brissett, Brissett's not athletic, but neither really is Foles. doesn't really matter.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, just a legitimate guy that you
That
know you
might
can
be too
win
good.
games with. Yeah, he's the high end.
But
Chad Henne, the Chiefs have won a game with Chad Henne.
yeah.
Remember, Tannehill became Mariota's backup for a year. Like the Niners are in a position where if their backup had to start 3 or 4 Mariota, their backup has to start 3 or 4 games. I would say the Niners would be in major trouble. I don't care where in the schedule they're at.
I agree. Or and yes, and you know what? Yes.
Now, obviously, if a guy has a major injury or starting quarterback, any team in the league screwed. But we've seen time and time again, like guy could miss a game or two, and the Niners would be no lock to win a game with old Nate.
It's an area that I think you and I talked about a while back that we would have liked to have seen them upgrade more.
Colt last year.
I mean, Colt was the guy we did a video about that we want. Colt McCoy on the Niners.
I think he resigned, didn't he?
He did resign.
Well, he's getting all the reps because old who just doesn't want to come to OTAs. You see that?
Not ideal.
How many quarterbacks beside Rodgers and Tom? Rodgers, I guess, said he wasn't going to come. I haven't seen whether Tom's going or not, but Tom hasn't gone for years. Are not at OTAs, starting quarterbacks that aren't injured like Jimmy. I would imagine, especially under like 35. I would bet Kyler's Mahomes there. Allen's there. Lamar's there.
Yeah, I think it's weird. Now, was it weird when Tom did it?
20 plus years in the league.
Different. They're different. Different people, different places.
Even Aaron might be a pain in the ass. He does be like, "Hey guys, I've won the MVP last 2 years."
Yeah.
Kyler's just coming off one of the worst games any human's ever seen.
And needs a contract or wants a contract.
You just train on your own. No big deal, bro. You're just a quarterback.
Couldn't care less if Corey on the stream couldn't care less if Trey's release isn't like Jimmy's. That's about all Jimmy has. It will be nice to see the ball go beyond the 10 yards. Man, I love Jimmy's quick release though.
I even kind of missed
so quick. It was Brady-esque, man. It was Brady. He looks like he threw like Brady. What do you want? What can I say?
Looked like him too.
Where the ball went, different story, but yeah, looked like Brady. All right, we're recording this before the Warrior game, so I expect a sweep. You guys can check. You expect a sweep, John?
I do. We found out that there might be a little in cahoots deal. Niners, Warriors. It's it's the players. When they're there, there's a lot of it's always good to be part of something where it's like, hey guys, we got you 4 seats. Who wants in?
But you got to do if you're Shanahan, like there will be 4 floor seats on the practice field. But if you want the tickets, you have to come to practice.
I asked someone, I was like, well, so did Kittle and Trey get them from the Niners? Like, no, actually, they got them from Chase Bank. So it's like they got connections all over the place.
Chase Bank.
Kittle does any deal through Chase, probably.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure Kittle did a Zoom with the top 50 Chase employees and
Jamie Dimon sent him over a text. Yeah, that's
all right.
$70 million Zenny gave you.
What else? Anything else? Anybody we missed? People we missed? If you're in the YouTube, hit that like button. I'm sure we'll have more stuff soon.
I feel like they got a really athletic team. Like even their back, like it's got a lot of athletes. I would say when the first couple years they were a little more dependent, more high end talent. It does feel like they're deeper. It just felt like they got a lot of good football players all over. Now the O-line to me is a question. That's a huge question mark. But I just felt like their DBs got DBs everywhere, wide receivers everywhere. I remember a couple years ago, I'm like, is their wide receiver room good enough? And it wasn't. They had to trade for Emmanuel Sanders. Like I feel like, Danny Gray's going to be like their 5th wide receiver.
Yeah, we got our eyes on Danny Gray today. I was glad to see him he was hitting his hamstring with a Theragun. I was glad to see him out there run a deep route.
My brother got me one of those for Christmas. They work.
Yeah,
a little tight.
Yeah. Well, I got a little worried about him. Why was he doing it? But then he ran a Sudfeld, I think, overthrew him he got knocked off his route. Javarius Ward was out there running around. No Ambry Thomas. He was sick. But Emmanuel, you're right. They do, for a team that at times has felt like they lack enough professional defensive backs. You looked out and you're like, all right, there's Ward, there's Johnson, there's Emmanuel Mosley, there's Darquez Dennard, there's Jimmy Ward.
I looked over one
George
time.
Odom. Talanoa Hufanga.
Yeah, DeMeco was just kind of one-on-one with Hufanga, like telling him, like they were talking technique. It was one of those, like DeMeco like gave him one of these, like when the guy's going in this, and I need you to go there, and Hufanga's like this, and clearly I'd say the 49ers brass likes what Hufanga brings to the table.
Yeah.
Right? He's just a player that if you just pulled people in the building, I would imagine he's very, very well liked. He's got a lot of support.
By John Lynch, especially, probably.
But Lynch, it feels like Kyle likes him, feels like DeMeco. It feels like they root for that guy. Now, is he physically talented enough in terms of his speed to be an every down starter at safety? You do have to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
He's probably more suited to play in like 93 when you can just level people.
Yeah. Aziz Al-Shire, shoulder and knees.
Yeah, he got beat up.
So
I like that guy.
But and Trey Greenlaw's coming off a groin, So,
But he was out there, wasn't he?
Trey Greenlaw was, yeah.
Yeah.
But not Aziz. All right. They'll have another open. The schedule. Somebody asked. They'll have another open practice next Wednesday, and so we'll helicopter in for that probably. Scrappy and Morty says Mexican food greater than Chinese food. I agree.
I would tend to agree too, but I will say this: an elite Chinese meal at the time of shoving it in your throat, in your mouth, and those flavors, it does. Especially if you're hungry, like I'm starving right now, does taste pretty incredible in your mouth, does it not?
I think where Mexican food has the advantage over Chinese food is not the flavor as it is the variety of ways you can eat it.
Yeah,
I can have a quick
burrito.
quesadilla. I can grab a burrito. I can have a bowl. I can have a salad. Can have the fajitas. Can have some nachos.
Grab a couple chips and salsa for the run.
Like you can be not in the mood for a burrito, but still have Mexican food. It's hard to not be in the mood for, I'm not in the mood for orange chicken, but I'll still have some Chinese.
Yeah.
It's like you're just
Chinese
you're
a mindset. I could have easily on the way home, if you just handed me a burrito and been happy as shit, a taco and powered it down. You couldn't just handed me like orange chicken and some white rice. It might not have been like, I don't know if I can really eat this right now. Right? You could eat Mexican really at any moment of the day, at any walk of life, hot, cold, outside. It doesn't matter. Breakfast. Yeah. You could eat breakfast tacos.
Yeah. Oh,
chorizo
burritos. Oh. I had one of those on Saturday or Friday.
Where'd you get it from?
Place called Yellow Door.
Where's that?
Montclair. If anyone's ever driving down Highway 13, you can just pop right off.
About $75 breakfast burrito or
$9.
Oh, damn!
And it's big.
That's a hell of a. I would put that in the rotation.
Yes, it's the good when the tortilla gets sealed. By the.
What they put in it?
Chorizo, egg, potato. I don't know, onions, peppers.
Were you full for the day?
I was full for the day. Yeah.
A good breakfast burrito will take you easily right through lunch.
Full for the day. So good take on the that's a good, that feels like Orlovsky would lead Sports Center with that take. Mexican food over Chinese, and then get a lot of engagement on social.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for hanging with us. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Ham is out.